All right, we got another great treat on. We got Anfernee McLemore on the podcast. Final Four. Went to the Final Four with that team. Won an SEC tournament. If you're looking at some of the record books, third all time or third. Let's see, that's all time career wise in blocks with 187. Only Mamadou and Kyle Davis are above him. Fifth, tied for fifth for the most in a season with 73, and that was the season where Anfernee got hurt and he missed the last 6 or 7 games, and he still ended up fifth all time on the season with blocks. Welcome to the podcast, Anfernee.
Hey, thank you for having me. Soon to be fourth all time with the pace that Walker's on right now.
we were going to ask you to start off if you've been watching this team. Yeah, we wanted to hear some of the comparisons, what you think about all this craziness.
No, I've definitely been watching the team. They're a lot of fun. They're very electric, high energy, high flying. Initially some of my thoughts on the team is that they seem to have a great core of good people on the team. So it's always good to see teams that are having fun playing rather than teams that's trying to win basketball games. And you just watch them play. You just know those guys are in tune with each other and just out there having fun playing.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about, go back to high school. There are certain things Auburn fans grow tired of. We just hear all the time on TV from different announcers that come in and do the games. You might have in football, Jarrett Stidham was from Texas, and all these facts. Yours was always that you were accepted to MIT and you had all these Ivy League offers. Just give the fans a little bit about how you ended up at Auburn and what that process was like for you.
Yeah, a funny story about that was that when we made it to our postseason run, CBS asked me about the MIT thing, and I told him, I was like, that never happened. I don't know how that started. Like I've never even applied to MIT or got accepted there. But
that's not real at all. It wasn't real at all.
No, whenever anyone asked me, they were because a couple of Auburn professors would ask me in class, they're like, he got accepted. I was like, no, I never applied. You can't get accepted somewhere you never applied to. But I did get offered from Ivy League schools. That part was true. But whenever anybody asked me about MIT, I don't know where it started at. But
we were doing some investigative journalism here. We were getting the scoops that never happened.
Yeah, no. Whenever anyone asks me about it, I just tell them that never happened. I guess one person said it, and I even told Rod one day. I was like, Rod, I never applied to MIT. I don't know, like, why do you keep saying that? But
where'd you apply to? Where'd you apply to?
I applied to Auburn, and the only reason I applied to Auburn was because they offered me a scholarship. That's the only college I ever applied to.
Okay.
But I'm sure if I had gone and went the traditional route, I would have applied to some other schools. But yeah, that's the only school I ever applied to.
So what was it about the coaches, and the environment? I know it's kind of close to home for you compared to maybe some other options. What brought you here?
Yeah, starting out in high school, I was more leaning towards some of those mid-major schools because of just my build and the position I played. Being at 6'7" and playing in the SEC was a little bit intimidating at first. However, I think Coach Pearl, he provided a lot of confidence in me in the sense that he compared me a lot to Horace Spencer in the season that he was having his freshman year. And honestly, it just seemed exciting to play for a school like Auburn. So the funny story with Coach Pearl is that throughout my whole recruitment, he never offered me a scholarship. He actually told me that all the assistant coaches felt like I wasn't a good fit. They necessarily didn't not want me there, but they told me that he was a little bit undersized. So Coach Pearl, he'll call me and say, I'm the coach that has the most confidence in you here because I believe in you and what you can help contribute to our program. So he said, if you just hold out a little bit longer, he was saying, just hold out a little bit longer. We're gonna find a spot for you here. And a couple months went by. Then one afternoon in October, I was playing at our local rec gym, and I got a call from BP. He said, hey, do you want to be an Auburn Tiger? I was like, heck yeah. What do you mean? So some guys after they get offered, they take a couple weeks, couple months. I committed, within 3 seconds. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. So I downloaded a PNG from Safari, and I posted on my Instagram, said I was verbally committed, and that's how my story at Auburn started.
It's awesome.
Man, you love to hear the stories. There's a similar story with Dylan Cardwell with how he had to wait around a little bit for a scholarship offer, and the people that get that kind of thing, I feel like you guys, and we're fans, we love our sport, we love our team, and we would kill to play on our team. We'd kill to be anything involved. We make a fan podcast. It's kind of fun to watch a player that understands the opportunity and understands like how cool it is to be on the floor.
Yeah, I think honestly, because I was from South Georgia, I didn't have a lot of experience with the Auburn environment. But my first genuine experience, I would say, had me hooked because I came to a game. It was 2015, and we had played Kentucky, and I was with my AU team sitting on the side of bleachers. And when they had beat Kentucky that game, I was like, this is the most amazing arena I've ever. And at that point, I had visited Georgia Tech, I had taken a visit to Clemson, and where else did I go? I think I went to Brown by that point, Brown University, and seeing Auburn in that environment was, it was the most unreal thing I've ever seen up to that point.
It's cool to hear that a win like that wins people over a bit. Bruce is talking about building that foundation and building up every single time. I'm also interested, Bruce had been in for 2-3 years at that point, trying to build a team, trying to kind of like every year he kind of built like who he could recruit, and this team, he got Mustafa Heron, Austin Wiley, Jared Harper, and you. Like, what was it like selling like a year or two in? Now he finally had that win against Kentucky. They can be like, see, I told you guys we're building something. I know we've always been like historically not great. Like, what vision was he selling you? And did he meet that vision at the end?
Yeah, he necessarily didn't approach it like that. BP was always preaching he wants to make history. That was his big thing. He would always tell us, we're going to make history here. He wanted to transform the program to a winning program. That was just his biggest selling point. And even when me, Mustafa, and Jared came in initially, Austin came in a couple months after us. We really hadn't proven anything. We had a lot to prove, and we came in with a chip on our shoulders. I think Jared most of all wanted to prove something out of all four of us, because he was the most undersized, and even though he was highly rated, he still felt like he was better than what people rated him as, and that showed in his work ethic a lot. But BP, he really showed his players that we're going to make history with the guys that we have now. At that point, we didn't need all of the 5-star guys. We didn't need all of the ESPN top 100 or top draft picks. We bought into his program and his system, then we'll be able to be a winning basketball team. And that's really how it started. I used to tell Jalen Williams my senior year that if I was getting recruited now, I wouldn't even make the team because of how much it has gone. Like, I don't think I would have been able to get, signed on to Auburn later on because of how much it's changed.
Yeah, you helped build the foundation that got it there, by the way,
Yeah, I think I was able to contribute to a great program. That's the thing. Coach Pearl, he's able to mold guys with who has potential into great basketball players. With his system, he adjusts to your strengths, and that's what helps you become a better basketball player, because you have such great coaches that put you in the best position possible to succeed. If I gone anywhere in the country, I'd have been either playing small forward because I was 6'7", or just, I don't know, riding the bench. But Coach Pearl, he allowed me to play center because that's why I felt the most comfortable at, even though I was only 6'7", and that's why I got the confidence to excel. And he allowed me to shoot threes, which my high school coach didn't really allow me to do. And just like the confidence that he instills in his players, just it translates to winning, because you have fun doing what you're good at, playing basketball.
Speaking of those threes, it's interesting. We watched last game and watched Walker Kessler hit a couple threes. It's been a big staple of Bruce's offense that these centers can shoot the threes, and he allows them to shoot them. You only shot 1 3 your freshman year, and then the next year you shot 40% from three on 40 plus attempts. What was that like jump between freshman and sophomore year? Was the staff asking you to shoot more threes? Like, by the end, you were extremely confident 3-point shooter, but it's just very interesting that you only shot 1 3 that entire first year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, Coach Pearl really wants to put you in the best position possible to succeed. So for me in the SEC, it was really hard for me to be a back to the baskets type player all the time. So I was sort of, forced to expand if I wanted to benefit the team more. I could have, just kind of been more like Horace and just stayed in the basket a little bit more like Austin. But, I wanted to be on the floor and be as productive as possible. So I sort of took the initiative to work on my 3-point game. And because the coaches saw that, they didn't necessarily encourage me to, but once they saw me, making them and shooting them, they allowed me to shoot more. And as my confidence grew, they just stopped. They didn't tell me not to do, so I just shot more and more. So I think initially my freshman year, I didn't have the confidence to shoot as much. I also didn't have the green light, because you had, sort of guys that were in that spot who need to shoot. And as I gained some tenure in the program, I was able to shoot a little bit more, had a little bit more freedom to shoot. And if you make them, he lets you shoot more. So, he lets the guys shoot that are making them. So because I wasn't making them at a clip as Bryce or as anybody else, I didn't get to shoot as much. But, as I got more older into the program, I got to shoot a little bit more.
You don't want to take too many 3 attempts when you got Bryce Brown on the team. So
right. I know there was one game where I think I took 7 threes. I was surprised with myself that game.
You remember which one that one was?
I don't. I think it was Texas A&M.
I remember you getting hot in some of those games. Like, it was very, like, when you went back there to shoot the 3, as much as you were a center, it was confident coming off that hand. So
yeah. I mean, I got lucky a little bit.
Well, it was such a fun thing to watch. Like that, especially you mentioned Horace and Austin. You just create when you would start, and obviously Bruce loves to play the bench, and he plays so many guys, but other teams would have to really play 3 different styles almost when each of you were in the game at that position. And I really think it opened up a lot of the offense. So it's cool that you mentioned you did that in high school as kind of a smaller quote unquote center. I guess you might've been playing center in high school, but you could shoot it. So obviously the tools were there. It's just cool to see, like you said, how adaptable Bruce is to his personnel. And obviously that was a big weapon.
Yeah. And the thing I liked about playing with Austin so much was that, me and him used to get tired really easily. I don't know. We were in good shape, but we had a hard time playing longer than 3 or 4 minutes at a time. So what we would do naturally is coach never subbed us 2 out. We would sub ourselves out. So whether Austin would start the game, our senior year was a little bit different. We started playing, but my junior year, we would play 2 minutes at a time. Austin would, I think I started my junior year, but I would play until 18 minutes. Say, Austin, come get me. Austin would play until 16 minutes. And we would really just let each other play until we got tired, and then, just sub each other out. And then it came to the point where Coach BP was like, you guys should sub out more like Austin and Anfernee, because, those guys, they let each other play. And if Austin saw me playing well, he'll give me a couple more minutes. If I saw Austin playing well, let him stay in, because, there's no reason for me being in the game if he's hot. So, it was really, really fun playing with Austin, especially my junior year. And me and Horace did that a good bit my sophomore year as well. But, just knowing that you can get out the game, because sometimes, some guys their ego gets a little bit hurt if they get out the game because they know they got to sit out for 4 or 6 minutes. But with me, Austin, Horace, we, 2 minutes in, get a quick breather, you're going back in. It was a lot of fun.
What's the quote that Bruce always had, Matt?
Which one?
No one man envies another.
No one being jealous of another man's success. I've always loved that. You guys, that Final Four team, obviously, I think exemplified that. Well, we're talking about your sophomore year real quick. That was a huge year. That was the breakthrough year for Auburn in terms of like success on the court. You were a massive part of that. That was the 4-14 preseason pick team with Bruce on the shirt, and you go into Knoxville and win, and y'all just had a great start to conference play. That felt like the team that was putting it all together. And then obviously, you have your moment where you get hurt at South Carolina. I think for most fans, like, that's something we'll always remember, kind of where we were at, because everybody loved you as a player and hated to see what you had to go through in that. And obviously the team made the first tournament in forever. They got to the second round, but it wasn't ever quite the same. You also had guys sitting out that year from all the, NCAA stuff. So looking back on that was such a pivotal year. And obviously you came back to do great things after, but what are your big takeaways from that season in general as you look back on it a few years later?
I have a lot of respect for that season. It was definitely a turning point for the program in general, because we just had so much confidence going forward from that. We started that year off 10-1, and we were doing great. I think we got up to maybe 24th or 25th in the ranking that year, but that was the first time we've been ranked in a long time. And at the end of the season, we were at South Carolina, we were 23-3, really confident. And I just think that was the point where we knew that we could compete and be dominant in the SEC, and we just wasn't one of those Cinderella teams. So, that was a big season for me personally, because that's when I began my shift, I would say, away from basketball a little bit. That was a big turning point in my life personally. I think that without that moment in my life, I wouldn't have matured as much as I had as far as after that, because before then I was solely focused on, trying to play professionally, whether that was in the NBA or a G League or overseas. But my future was 100% basketball. And then after that, I realized that, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of fun outside of this round basketball. It's always fun to watch, but it's good to be aware of all the opportunities available to you.
That year you had such a big change from your freshman year to your sophomore year. One interesting stat to look at is you were 5 blocks away from being third. Like there's Kyle Davis is number 1 with 126 blocks in a season. Kyle Davis is number 2 with 84 blocks in a season. Number 3, also Kyle Davis with 78. You were 73 with 8 games left on the schedule. You were 5. You could have gotten the next game. You could have jumped up to the 3rd most in a season. That's how insane your season was going before that injury.
I had a good season. It was a good year. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I had before that year, I recorded my highest vertical that year. It was 42.5 inches. Never quite got as high as that, but that was a fun year. Right place at the right time, a good bit of time.
Do you feel like that injury hampered you at all in like the future of the next 2 years? Do you feel like you fully came back from that?
Oh no, it definitely did. It was one of the major reasons why I decided not to play anymore. Looking back, I did come back a little bit too soon beforehand because you gotta think that I came back, I got hurt in February. I played my next game in September. So I was off crutches for maybe 60 days, maybe 90 days before I played my next basketball game. And then the next season we played 40 games. That's a lot of games in the season. So I don't think I realized, I felt good in the moment because I was ready to play basketball. But as the season got longer and longer, it was really, really painful to keep playing. It was to the point where I had to be, basically medicated before every game and to just to make it through the game. And then after that, it just sort of lingered on to where my senior year was, it was somewhat miserable as well because, the length of it. Looking back, I may have medical redshirted that year just so I could have more longevity in my career. But at the time I wasn't thinking, I just wanted to play basketball again.
You talked about how Walker's going to beat you on that list soon enough. Well, I just looked up the stat to see actually where he's at, thinking, it's about similar part of the season, probably where you got the injury. You had 73 at that point. He has 104 right now.
Yeah.
He's already second all time in the first season at Auburn. Kyle Davis has 126. He's at 104 right now. I think Walker might blast right past it.
Yeah, I think especially if he comes back for another season, he'll be number 1 all time in 2 seasons. It's incredible. It's incredible to watch him play because most of the time he just changes shots a lot. He doesn't really get the block all the time, and that's how you can tell he's a great defender because a lot of the guys just don't like being around him in the paint, and that just changes up the flow of the basketball game so much.
Can you talk a little bit, comparing, you and Walker, very different sizes, but big blocks for both of you, and also you both had this lob plays with your point guard, Jared, and you had this great connection on these lob plays, and so does Walker. And one of these kind of walk us through one of those lob plays and walk us through what you're looking for as a block when someone's coming down the lane, like the kind of tendencies, the arm they're looking to put out, where you're angling yourself, how you're not getting a foul with these SEC refs, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fair to compare me to Walker because we're 2 different players. I mean, Walker, I think he's 100 times better than I ever was, but just for lob plays in general, if you look at the way he sort of does his lob plays, he doesn't really do a lot of rolls. I would say he kind of slips to the screen, but he mostly slips to the free throw line a lot, and they just kind of give him a bounce pass. He does 2 steps and dunks it a good bit, or he'll back up to the rim, wait till the point guard drives it up, and then once they defend him, they'll just kind of lob it up to him. Because he's tall and athletic at the same time, he's able to do that. But what I had to rely on both my quickness and athleticism. So I would slip a lot of ball screens with Jared. So what I would do is I would come up and set a screen, and before when the 5-man reacted to try to trap him, I would just run down to the goal, and Jared would usually lob it up from the 3-point line, and then I'll dunk it. So I wasn't as good as what Walker does. He's able to, once they get down to the lane, just use his vertical, and they just kind of lob it up real soft. He's able to dunk it. It takes me a good bit of a run up in order to get that up there. So I think he's comparable to Austin because Austin used to do that a good bit as well. But it's just a different style of play when you're 6'7" versus 7'1".
But you're right that there's a difference in the timing. What you and Jerry and Bruce now, and I don't know if this is giving anything away, but was that a called slip, or was that you would read your man and run that? Because the timing of it with Jared was just 3 or 4 times a game. It was just there.
Yeah, no, we had a couple plays. I don't know if they still run now, but all the coaches have our calls. But so what we would do is whenever we want to run a slip, we would call this play called horns. It looked just like this. You'll see Jared running it. So what would happen is the 5-man and the 4-man would come up to the 3-point line and just sort of set a double screen. So it was either me and Danjel or me and Horace in the game at the time. Mostly me and Danjel or me and Chuma at the time. Chuma was playing a lot too. So what would happen is we'll both set a screen right here, and then Jared would come off me, and then right before Jared came off my shoulder, I'll just run down to the middle of the paint, and then he'll either throw it up to me or he'll throw it back to Chuma for a three. Right. So there's a lot of reason why I might tell you that there was a lot of adjustments out of that. So if Jared decided to keep it and do something else to do a ball screen, I would do something else. If he decided to go back to Chuma, I would smash my guy, try to get the lane open for Chuma. If he throw it up to me, obviously I'll try to go up and dunk it. If he threw it across the court, whole nother thing I would do, I'll go back and set a screen to somebody else. So there's a lot of actions out of that horns action, but obviously the first action would be if my man reacts to Jared coming off the ball screen, because if he doesn't, Jared might have a wide open layup because I'm technically setting a screen, the defense had to react. Yeah. So but he'll lob it up. Another play that we had was called let's see if I remember. It was a play called Fire. It was just a middle ball screen. We just tap our chest. And it would just be me and Jared in action by ourselves. And Jared would either come down to the corner, come to the middle of the floor. I'll set a ball screen. I had two options to either do here. I could either pop backwards for a 3-point, or I could go to the lane. So my job here was to react to whatever my defender did. So later in my career, I reacted to the 3-point line a little bit more because I could jump, but it would be a lot painful. But yeah, so that was one of those ball screen actions as well. So what you see with Walker now is you see him going up to set a screen, but rather rolling. As I said, he'll pop back to the 3-point line, and then he'll get that. He's so skilled, he'll get that ball at the free throw line, and then do his move and get to the goal pretty easily.
You talked about with Austin, you would sub each other out, or you would call out that you want out, that you didn't want to stay in for more than 2, 4, 6 minutes or so. Me and Matt have been very impressed with Walker Kessler, how much he can run up and down the court and how they don't have to take him out very often for a guy his size. Just, you're 6'7", 7'1", adding all those inches. Like, are you like blown away by the athleticism that he can,
it's great that he can, just stay in the game so long, especially be effective that long in the game. Because sometimes guys just kind of out there moving around, but he's always in the game. He's always effective. And that's one thing that's really just amazing to see about him. But, even seeing him at North Carolina, he was always a force. And I just think, BP has that way of instilling confidence in his players just to pushing them to their full potential.
Well, if we fast forward to your junior season a little bit, you won an SEC regular season championship, which was just mind blowing at Auburn that we could do that. It was kind of this crowning moment that Bruce, when we hired Bruce, that he could do something like this. It was kind of like, wow, we finally reached this like milestone that we didn't know if we could get there with Bruce. We weren't sure, like we believed in Bruce, but we weren't quite sure if we could get there. You finally get there, and now most everyone's returning. Kind of like in soccer, they have a thing called like the golden generation. You kind of know when you have a special group of players. And so for the first time in Auburn history, even though we lost Mustafa Heron in that offseason, we had expectations coming into a season for the first time in a long time. But people kind of forget during that season. So you're coming back from injury, and we got Mustafa Heron going. We have Chuma coming back. We knew there was something special about Chuma. He didn't quite peak where he never really peaked in that freshman season, but we knew he had something special. We definitely knew he had something special with Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. But people kind of forget in that season, we did have some lulls. We had kind of some issues before that UGA game where that ball went. Can you talk a little bit about the mentality of the team when things weren't quite meeting the expectations about early in SEC play?
Yeah, I think we always had a chip on our shoulders to where we didn't expect anything. We felt like we had to go out and get everything. So even that game with UGA, when it came down to the last shot where Chuma made that three, I think we just always wanted to make sure we play as best as possible. But going through some of the downsides of the season, it was more of a disappointment that we didn't live up to the way we could play, because we would work so hard. We would watch so much film each game. So when we came out and played bad, it was more necessarily just disappointing that we didn't fulfill that obligation and even if we didn't shoot well, we could still win the game doing other things. So going back to that junior season, I don't remember much of it. I know we probably we're probably like 7-7 at one point in SEC, maybe 8-6. But we lost a few SEC games in a row. I don't remember.
A lot of people kind of put the turn of your season at that bad at Kentucky loss or at the Chuma hitting that 3 at UGA. Do you have like own narrative? Do you feel like the team itself had a narrative kind of like of a turning point? I know a lot of that can be once you're through it, you can look back at the turning point, but like, was there a moment where you were in the locker room or anybody and said, we got to get something together, or, okay, now that we hit that 3 and we won that UGA game, we got something going? Was there ever like a speech or anything like that?
Yeah, once we were in Lexington and, we got beat pretty bad by Kentucky, BP, he came in the locker room and said, that's not how a team that wants to compete for a national championship plays. He said, early in the season, we were a team that could compete for a national championship, but after the way we play, that's not how we played. That's not how we played that game. So that was a turning point to say, okay, it's late in the season. We need to finish this thing out strong if we want to even get to the tournament or even get a chance to play later in the postseason. So I think that was definitely a turning point for us because, it was embarrassing. I think we lost by 30, maybe 20, 30 in Lexington. So after that, it was really a shift in being locked into our scouts, locked into our opponents to just make sure we played well or to the best of our ability the next games of the season.
Well, and then you go 4-game winning streak to end the SEC season. I live in Nashville. I went to 2 of those SEC tournament games. Auburn just gets incredibly hot, wins 4 games in 4 days. That Tennessee game, being here, living in Tennessee with like 3% of the crowd there being Auburn fans was awesome for me. We win the SEC tournament. You survive the first round in the NCAAs. We obviously have this incredible we could ask you about so many of these things, Kansas, North Carolina, but I was also in Kansas City for that Sweet 16 game, and just seeing you guys just run up and down and play with North Carolina, there was kind of this narrative that, North Carolina plays fast and they go up and down and they're going to push the pace, and Auburn, y'all outplayed North Carolina in that game so clearly, and Chuma was a big part of that. He goes down. The Elite Eight game, I think, will always be something all Auburn fans will remember forever, what you guys did without him. We've always wondered this. We've talked about this for years. Did y'all know Chuma was going to arrive? I know CBS made it seem like he's arriving, he's coming in out from the hotel, he's showing up for his team. Was that the plan? Did you know he was going to show up? How did all that work when you're in the flow of the game?
No, that definitely wasn't the plan. We were surprised when we got there because when he got there, because we had to take a team bus because we were out in Kansas City. We didn't know there were any other forms of transportation. So once we left the hotel we were at, we thought, Chuma was going to watch from the hotel. We just expected it because he just tore his ACL. So I don't know how he got. I still don't know how he got there. I think he Ubered. I don't know how he got there to this day, but it was great. It was definitely just great to see him coming that next day against Kentucky, just to be out there and support us because he had to be in pain. He probably wasn't feeling well, just to have his knee not elevated in that wheelchair. But it was great to see him. Chuma he's probably one of my favorite teammates to ever play with at Auburn. He was a great guy.
You played with him for 2 years, and I was one of the biggest, they use the word stan now, a Chuma fan, a Chuma stan. I would tell anybody that would listen his freshman year that he had something special. He has this touch that you can't seem to teach anybody with that athleticism, that when he got near the rim, no matter how fast he was going, he could finish the ball with just a little bit of touch. And there's been a lot of players that on the team or different places that can't quite do that. He kind of made this turn that me and Matt always talk about. I think the fan base too, where he goes big Chum, and it took a really long time. We knew it was there, and he couldn't quite. The aggressiveness just wasn't quite there. We knew he could always do it. Like, what was that like in the locker room? What was he's not you or whatever, but what was Bruce telling Chuma? Like, come on, you could do it. Like, how much cajoling did he have to do to get Chuma to take those shots and be a little more assertive?
I mean, I think it just came, to Chuma just doing it himself. He was always, I'll say he was always one of the most talented persons in the locker room because we would play king of the court, with all the guys out to practice. And even as a freshman, Chuma would be victorious a lot of times. Davion Mitchell was, he was great. He was an asset that Auburn, if Auburn had Davion later in his career, we would have been awesome as well. But him and Davion, probably two of the most talented freshmen I've ever seen. And they would just go at it every single day, just back and forth, just kind of both of them making crazy shots. And Chuma, I think it was just upon himself, just believing that he could just, play like he did in high school. And once he started gaining confidence, he just ran away with it. But BP, he never really changed out the way he coached him. Chuma was always very soft-spoken, very coachable, one of the most coachable guys ever. And, he just sort of took it upon himself.
It's interesting. We always had a theory that Bruce was probably getting on him all the time to take more shots and drive more balls. It's interesting to hear that he just kind of let it go.
Yeah, I mean, Chuma always had it in him. He just kind of as he got older, he just gained confidence.
Well, tell me this, that while we're still on the Chuma subject, he goes down North Carolina game, brutal. This is going to Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four. That's something us Auburn fans could only dream of. I'm sure similar for the players, we're dreaming of that kind of thing. You get into the Final Four game, you're a couple shots away potentially of going to a national championship. You have 2 free throws on the line, and the camera zooms in on you, and you're chanting Chuma at the free throw line. Correct? Was that something that how did that come about?
I mean, I think at that point, the whole season, even not just me, but we were all just kind of doing it for Chuma because BP, I mentioned because he coached us so well, like we were doing it for Chuma because if we didn't have him up to that point in the season, then we wouldn't have got as far as we did. And I just think that for me, anyways, as a player who was shooting 67% from the line, it was a lot of pressure in a Final Four game on CBS. A lot of people watching you. I just had to focus in on what I need to do and not there's a lot of pressure in that situation to make 2 free throws with a chance to go to the national championship. So that's what I could do personally to block out the idea that you're on national TV with a lot of people watching you. So I was just like, this is for Chuma. Like I don't, it's not. I'm just in the practice gym. This is for Chuma, and I'm just gonna keep saying that. I'm gonna knock these free throws down.
Was Chuma at the Final Four? Was he at the game? At the Kentucky one, he showed up late, but was he on the sideline or?
I guarantee you he was. I doubt that we would go to Minneapolis without Chuma.
And if we skip around a little bit, because I think Matt's got another question about that Final Four game, but I do want to skip back one. This has always been a moment. In fact, when me and Matt picked our favorite moments in Auburn history, I picked this moment in the Elite Eight. The game's coming to an end. The ball's going down the court. It's right at the end of regulation. Horace Spencer's got the ball in his hands. Bryce Brown to his right. Horace goes up. What is going on in your mind as Horace is going up for the 3 that could potentially send you to the Final Four?
Let me walk you through that play because that's a very funny play, and I just it's shocking for me as well as probably for you. So as you know, about 2 minutes before that play happened, PJ Washington was just going on a tear, just scoring bucket after bucket after bucket. Just kind of just scoring every single time. So we call timeout, or somebody calls timeout, and we decided to put Horace on PJ for the last possession of the game. So, obviously they go back to PJ, he goes baseline, tries to score on Horace. Horace puts his hand up, grabs the ball. It goes everywhere. It goes near me. I try to pick it up. I'm one knee on the ground. Keldon Johnson picks up the ball. I was like, all right, I'm not going to foul him. So I just jump up 2 hands and, I get the block. Bryce gets the ball. So I think it's probably like 10 seconds left at this time. We're like, okay, we got a chance to get a shot. So I run down to the left corner. For some reason, Horace runs down to the arc. And Bryce gets the ball. So Bryce is dribbling the ball up the court. We're just expecting Bryce to, try to get open and get a shot off. But Bryce throws it to Horace to get a handoff for a shot. And then at that point, I think it's like 3 seconds left. It's not close at all. And then we just see Horace shoot it. So, in my head, I'm thinking anything is possible because, he's going to make it. Why not? Why not? At this point, why not? And then he shoots it and he misses it, but we're not disappointed because, at that point, why not shoot it? What's going to hurt? It's not like that's not the win or lose shot. So I feel like that's a free shot. But, I was shocked that he took it. I probably wouldn't have taken it in that situation, but, he got the guard to take it. He got the guard to make it. So I feel like he could have easily made it in that situation.
Bryce was very exacerbated, very upset afterwards. Do you remember what he was saying or what the fault was after he missed it?
He was like, "Come on, man, pass the ball." He's just kind of like, "Come on!" Like you can see him, like it's like a slow mo on the video. He's just like, "Come on, man!" Like he wasn't really upset. He was just like, I guess he was just more like that was a chance. Like like we might not have a a chance that good to beat Kentucky, especially in overtime. You never know what can happen.
Well, and Bryce had picked up his dribble, right? They pressured him. He was hoping to get it back. So I think that was his thing. He wanted to get the ball back and get that shot. The other thing I would say about that play, you've probably seen this, but Stephen Pearl's reaction to that coming off the bench is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because he was just so frustrated, so mad.
I feel like I lived a lifetime between the moment that Horace caught that ball and shot that ball, because it was so intense. I live up in New York, and I was sitting in the New York Auburn Club bar, and I couldn't even talk to anyone. So like the bar owner was trying to talk to me, I can't talk, sitting in the corner, and he gets that ball, and the emotions I felt. It feels like that play lasted 2 seconds. But I can remember the emotions of, oh, we got a chance here. Bryce got okay, it's going to Horace. Oh no, Horace is actually going to shoot it. It's in the air, but maybe it could happen. Anything can happen. We shouldn't have even been here to begin with. This could go in. It didn't. Why did he do
that? Yeah, after the fact, you wonder why did he do it, especially when you see how much time was left on it. But I
can envision the Cinderella story in my head in the 0.5 seconds that ball was in the air, that of all of the players, Horace Spencer hit a 3 to win the game to send us to the Final Four, and then it clunks out, and it's crazy that I can remember all those feelings and thoughts with a 2-second play.
Well, and I would just say I'm so glad you mentioned Horace's defense there, because Horace had these moments where he would come in and just play incredibly on both ends in key moments of games. And like you said, he had the gall to take it. I mean, he played with that kind of confidence. We've had guys throughout the years, and that's BP, right? That's BP getting his guys to believe, and yeah, I can make that shot.
Yeah, of course. Why not? It's fun. It was that I don't think there was a time where I played for BP that I felt I just shouldn't do something. Whether it's just taking the 3 or just a lot of the times plays weren't designed for a specific person to shoot. It was more designed for a specific look, and if that look wasn't open, then you would just go to the next look. So a lot of times you can't really just tell. I mean, BP he would tell guys to shoot more than to shoot less.
Yep.
And so a lot of times it's just up to the player just to to make the best decision on the court. And I think that's when you play your best basketball.
Yep.
The Final Four run was so crazy. The SEC tournament was so crazy. We're talking about a little bit with this team too, but it's so much more than just a team that's playing really well and a team that takes you all the way. It's past that. It's the culture. It's the kind of players. You guys on that team were so much fun to cheer for. Sometimes there's teams that other teams have to cheer for a player maybe they don't like as much, or maybe a style of play like that. Can you imagine being a Virginia fan? They won the national championship. Man, they weren't a fun team to watch. This team was fun to watch, and it was extremely memeable. It's just so interesting that this team, I was going to ask you about a couple of these things. Post SEC tournament, it was so cool to see all the fans greet you guys when you got back. What was that like?
That was great. Let's see if I can remember the exact moment. Oh, when I do remember this. It was fun. So after we beat Tennessee, we came back. It was probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and we went straight to Toomer's Corner, and we had the trophy. And I believe it was. Yeah, no, that may have been after the Kansas City game. I don't know. One time we went straight to Toomer's Corner, and we're just kind of out there hanging out, just going crazy with all the supporters out there, and it was just a lot of fun. It was euphoric, I would say. Just kind of unbelievable, once in a lifetime, obviously, but it was just great to be a part of a piece of Auburn history.
Did you guys hear that you won the sex tournament? You'll hear about that?
Yeah, we were after we got back to the hotel, we were watching the broadcast waiting on Selection Sunday, and we started seeing the memes about that on Twitter. It neither here nor there, but it was pretty funny. That whole tournament itself was crazy because one shot, one call, we could have lost any game. Even if you go back to the game against Florida, Javon fouls the guy at the end because we were told to foul. They don't call it, that's the end of the game. All the Florida people are mad, but and then at New Mexico State game in the tournament, that game goes, we end our season. That guy makes that shot, and it was wide open because it was busted coverage that game. So, I mean that play. So now there's a lot of factors that led us to getting lucky, I would say, and having a run that we did.
Well, I'm walking you through the memes a little bit here. We had sex tournament, and then we had About That Time from Malik Dunbar. Still a great single. They're still put in the stadium today. Where were you at when He was singing about that time, about that time.
Malik actually started that the first time I met him, he was singing. He was always singing. The first time I met Malik, we were actually getting ready to go on our trip to Italy to play in a couple of games overseas. And he was just kind of like the new guy on the team, and he just came in with immediate confidence. You would have thought he was on the team for 20 years, the way he was just kind of greeting everybody. But the first time I met him, he was just in the locker room singing, and he really just never stopped. And then everybody would get mad because he was like, it'll be 6 o'clock in the morning, we have 6 o'clock workouts, he'd just come in and sing it, trying to wake everybody up. And it was like, we can't even get mad at you because it actually sounds good. It's not like you're singing bad. It's not like it's bad. So it's just like, he was definitely one of the biggest providers of energy on the team. It was a lot of fun. That whole team itself was just a lot of fun, and just had a lot of pieces that made it fun to play basketball.
He's in our intro for this podcast about that time. It's beloved at this point. Another great meme, probably the best meme from that entire run that I just love, and I hope I don't know, you can never reputate this again. We Got Jared, the song. When did you guys find out about that? Like, did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you tired of it by the end?
No, we definitely loved it. We one of my favorite things about that song is that one time the band played it. I think it was an SEC tournament. They played like a rendition of it. It was fun. But I don't remember the first time I heard it, but I remember once the whole team heard it, they put it on the locker rooms and the speakers in the locker room. It was actually a lot of fun. But that was probably the one of the best things that someone did for us in the whole season. It was so fun to see that. I still hear it sometimes on Twitter every now and then. It's still a lot of fun to listen to.
Part of the reason it blew up so much is because you embraced it a little bit. I remember I think the first time I heard it was, I think maybe D'Angelo Purefoy was playing it off his phone or something and singing along with it. It was a video of the team, and like the fact that you guys embraced it made amplified it times 10. It was like a goofy song, just this goofy thing that people were like, okay, some guy wrote a song about the team, to like you guys enjoying it and being like, they enjoy it, we enjoy it now. It's great. It's ours.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was definitely fun. Yeah, I mean, I still like that song. That's a great song.
I've got a question, Jackson. We may change up our list here a little bit, but I'm just going to ask you, I don't want to focus too much on it, but you had the brutal end of the Final Four game. You had the brutal end to your senior year with COVID shutting everything down. For you personally and for the team you were with both those years, was one of those harder than the other? I know they were both gut punches in their own way. I mean, how do you look back at those two rough endings to seasons?
Yeah, I think the COVID season was definitely rough for me, just for the fact that it was over. At least at the end of the Final Four, I had the next season to look forward to it. I just felt that, not to get too political, but it was unfair. Not necessarily from the circumstances, because a pandemic is a pandemic. You can't do anything about that. But just from a timing perspective, that that's my senior year, or that's our senior year. Me, Austin, Dangel, Javon, Samir. And then we don't get a chance. It's just kind of like it's over. That's it. So I would definitely say that was a good bit harder, especially for me, because I had already made a decision that I was going to be done after that. And I was like, wow, it's kind of like that came fast. I couldn't really, at least during the game, you kind of see it coming. And then at the same time, I was looking forward to my second NCAA tournament, because the Final Four was the only one I've ever played in. And I was like, I'm ready to, do this thing again, actually play again. And then, in a span of seconds, you find out that the SEC tournament is canceled. It's like, okay, well, we get to go back to campus and get ready for the NCAA, because at that point, I think we were projected to be a 5 seed, maybe 4 seed. And, we try to make a run. And then like a couple seconds after that, all right, the whole thing is canceled. So, that was definitely a gut punch in the grand scheme of things.
I feel like I always tell this, we went to a Final Four the year before, and the next year's team, you started out the season like 14-0, 15-0 or something like that. And then the team kind of developed a little bit with Isaac Okoro, kind of developed. He took a little while, just like Chuma did, to finally like kind of pick up exactly like meeting his talent wise. I always say you guys were peaking at the right time and ready for another run. I don't know if that was going around the team, like what you guys thought, like you were ready, like especially with that Kentucky, I felt like you guys at Kentucky were going back and forth. I was looking so forward to that SEC tournament for you to rematch with Kentucky.
Yeah, I think it was fun, especially after getting a win over LSU, who I think won the regular season that year. And also, just I think we were just riding high at that point. We had a great, great team, a lot of confidence going in. I think we were the 3 seed. It was LSU, Kentucky. No, I think it was maybe the 4 seed. I don't know. I know we had a bye game the first game. And yeah, we were just ready to play. And more importantly, like we wanted to compete for another championship. And as you said, it's kind of like when it ends like that, you've never seen just a season end in that way. And I've never seen it. And it just sort of like, like I wouldn't have never expected in my life something like that to happen.
I want to walk back a little bit. We were talking about the ending of the Final Four. I was at the Final Four also. So you were on the court. I was in the exact last row in Minneapolis. I couldn't tell if you or Austin Wiley were on the floor. That's how far back I was. I couldn't tell which one of you guys was on the floor at the same time. I just knew there was a large man under the basket. They couldn't even have the screens. But for me, when the moment happened, everybody talks about the double dribble now. I was in person. You were in person. You were playing. I didn't even know the double dribble happened. So like that wasn't my moment. My moment was we are about to win the game. They're shooting the 3. It misses. I'm like hugging friends, tearing up. We did it. We're going to the national championship, only to have tons of like fans eventually around us kind of work up the crowd. Like there was a foul call. You couldn't hear the whistle or anything. I feel like the double dribble was a little overdone. Like what was the moment for you where you were like, oh no, was it when he hit the free throws? Was it the foul call? Was it like, what was that moment like? All 3 of those moments.
Yeah, I was on the court for that the first moment of the double dribble, and like you said, I didn't see anything. I was from my angle anyway. I was under the court, back. Bryce was defending. What it looked like in real time was that Bryce tipped the ball and he went back and grabbed it and started dribbling. And I think the reason why the ref didn't call is because he just did it with so much confidence. He just went and grabbed it and started dribbling like oh, that was normal. I think had he hesitated or had he just kind of like, oh, am I supposed to do this? Then okay, that would have been double dribble. Like he just went and grabbed and started dribbling like that was like normal. So nobody really saw it in real time. Especially, I don't think the referee would have expected it because it was such a big moment. Like like why would he do something so obvious in that moment? But the whole, but even before that last 3 was called, Kyle Guy was he made a crazy 3 because the Samir was defending him and he caught the ball on the right corner and just shot it within like half a second. It just went in. It was like, all right, now it's a 2-point game. And, so it might've been a 4-point. No, it might've been a 3-point game, but either way, we go down, we get the ball back and Jared gets fouled. He makes 1 or 2. And now they come back. And when they pass it to Cal and he shoots it, like I'm on the goal. No, it was an out of bounds play. It was out of bounds play. And then what we were worried about was Diakite getting a lob to the basket. So I was playing back in kind of a zone defense. Making sure that it was probably less than 3 seconds left in the game, making sure he didn't try to get a lob dunk to tie the game up. And then what they ended up doing is they ended up throwing it to the corner. We didn't expect them to go for a 3, in that moment. And then I think Samir caught a little bit off guard, got a little bit too close, and they ended up calling them foul on the body. And I heard it immediately because I was looking at the play and I was like, oh, I can't believe they called a foul on that. So yeah,
I'm glad you say that. I feel like some people. I don't know. It's annoying me in a game scenario like that, national championship berth on the line. I just thought it was a really weak foul to call. I was very upset that like it's always annoying online to try to bring up this point of like, sure, it was a foul, but it was a super weak call. And those calls just don't usually get made in the game like that. Like, were you pissed at that? Like, how did you process that? Were you like, yeah, Samir fouled. I can't believe he fouled. Or were you like, I can't believe they called that foul in this moment?
No, you really got to think about all the moments leading up to that point before you can just think about that, because like we had 39 minutes to put ourselves in a better position than that position. And I think personally we were very disappointed that we didn't play our brand of Auburn basketball that game. Look, comparing that game to North Carolina, we played 20 times slower. We were just it wasn't like they really controlled the pace of the game. And I think Jared may have had 9 points. We just didn't play very fast. We didn't play our brand of basketball. So, so just looking back at that last play, you can't really say neither here nor there because we had opportunities to take control, and we didn't make the plays that we needed to make.
Can you just talk about like the environment around the Final Four? For me, that Elite Eight happens. I'm like in New York. We're looking at tickets. Like it's just something we never expect. I get in the stadium. It's this whole city surrounded, 4 different fan bases. Like it's almost like Mad Max a little bit. Vying for who's going to be what. Like, what was it like being in the stadium? It's in a football arena. You probably never played in a football stadium before.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely like that was huge. Like you said, that was the biggest arena I've ever played in. And I think seeing it empty was more intimidating than actually seeing it with full of people, because the day before, 2 days before we got there, it was empty. And it was like you couldn't even focus on the basket because there was just so much, I guess, a space behind the goal.
Mhm.
And when there's everybody in the arena, you get a little bit of tunnel vision, so you kind of focus on what's going on. But just it being empty, you just hear the ball echo so much just when you bouncing in the stadium's probably like 10, 20 feet off the ground. It's definitely intimidating. You sort of get your nerves and your adrenaline pumping just from practicing in there before the game even starts.
So you could feel that weight that this was an important game, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Just from the amenities from the Final Four. We go in and I don't know if you know, but every round that we got to, we got gifts just for being there. So when we got to the NCAA, I think they gave us suitcases or something like that. We got to the 316, we got a Ninja blender, or you had a choice of different things, about 16 different things. So and then we got to the Final Four, they gave us recliners, like large, like, so he's like, okay,
Like chairs?
yeah, like full size.
Are they branded Final Four Lazy Boys? Then you got it in your house. You sitting in one right now? Is that it?
No, well, I had it, but when I moved, I didn't. I ended up giving it away to somebody. But no, I did have Final Four on it, but it was just like it was a Lazy Boy recliner.
Could you imagine having a Final Four, like 2019 Final Four recliner, and then you're leaving your college town for wherever, and you're like, that is a collector's item now. Some kid in some frat house, they paid $1,000 to be like, you can sit in the Final Four chair and
Yeah, I mean that was cool. I didn't think much about it though. I still got my ring too. Let me see if I can find them. 1 second.
Oh yeah,
perfect. I would literally put this on the Google sheet to ask if you had any swag or any rings or any cool things like that.
Yeah, I got them. I got them here. I don't know. You can't see. Let me turn this light on.
Yeah, you got your shadow box there.
Yeah, hold on.
My mom made me shadow boxes for. I don't know if you got that professionally made or not.
No, they gave us this one for I don't know what shadow box is, but they gave us the jersey. So I got my jersey here in my basement, and then I'm gonna bring them out. But I got actually got 3 rings, but it's technically only 2 of them.
SEC regular season, SEC tournament. I guess the Final Four doesn't get a ring.
Yeah, so the tournament and the Final Four was combined into 1 ring. So
That's cool.
Let me see if I can show you. I don't know
here. What's going on with the studio? You got a lightning bolt. You got
Yeah, I make finance videos. So this is kind of like, I don't know. It's just a corner in my basement that I do. All right, so let's start off 2018. So 2018, we got this box here, this little gem, and then so here we go.
Nice.
So on the side of it,
audio listeners, we got a big ring here that's probably like bigger than my arm. They got SEC on it, lots of diamonds.
Watch this on YouTube, basically. Find this this goes up on YouTube, so everybody go watch this.
God, the ring is huge. How heavy is it?
I don't know. So this one's 26 and 8. So I'm gonna put them on so I can show you the comparison. So that's the SEC championship, regular season championship. And then we have this was sort of a gift from the NCAA. This is just a black one. It says Final Four, so this is technically a Final Four ring. So I'm gonna put this one on as well.
I think Final Four deserves a ring. It's different than other sports. Like the Final Four is almost as much of a peak as the national championship.
I'm guessing this next one is
a next box from it. And then you open it up, you have the ring in this. So I'm gonna try to show it to you a little bit closer. Yeah, so this is the Final Four, so it's definitely nice. And has on this side, it has 2019 SEC tournament champion, 30-10, Final Four. And then on the inside, what is cool, I don't know if I can show you.
It's got your name on it. That's great.
Yeah, so that's the score from the 4 games.
Right through the heart of the Blue Bloods on the bottom of the ring there.
So if you compare, this, you thought the other one was bigger.
We have to screenshot this.
So that one's a good big. Actually, let me put the AUs on the right way, I guess.
Yeah, do that one. Me and Matt got to make a picture to show that we gotta.
So
all right, Matt, you ready?
I can't take
Eagle.
so that's all 4 of them together. I like to show people. Whenever I had someone a Vivint security guy come by my house one day when I bought this house, and he was like, did you play for Auburn? I was like, so we got into the story of just talking about it. I was like, hey, you want to see the rings? And he was like, yeah, of course. So, I like to show him off and, just kind of
what occasions do you wear the rings? I've talked to some other people with other different rings, and they have to like pick this middle ground between like, you got a ring, you want to like wear it to like cool occasions, but you also don't want to be gaudy or take away from anybody. It's like, what is your like threshold?
I've never worn them. I've never worn them. And the only time I've actually worn this outside of just my house is when we went to the football game in, I think it was in 2019 or maybe next season. But I've never had an occasion whether, because I would have worn it to a award ceremony my senior year. But we didn't have that because of COVID, and I've just never worn it anywhere.
Have you gone back for any games or anything? If I went back for a game, I'd wear one,
Yeah, I went back for an Alabama game when Sharif was there in 2020, but I don't know, I'm not a big just flashy guy, so it's kind of just stayed home.
Well, my only question on any of this, and we can kind of move on. We're fanboying here a little bit, but do you have any, like, everybody cuts down the nets, right? You always want to cut down nets. Do you have a piece of one of the nets from one of the championships?
I got all of them. I got all. I mean,
you don't have to show us that if you don't want to. But
give me a second. This is fun. This is fun stuff. You kind of just making me kind of just go
You're
out.
having a good time, Matt. Don't tell me you can't do these things. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I never really get the chance to show the stuff off because I don't really talk about basketball.
I think the cutting down nets is just so cool. It's such a uniquely college basketball thing, and like you don't really appreciate it until you get to see your team and your guys do it. And it's always it was surreal as somebody who's followed the program forever to see you guys have these moments in back-to-back years where you get to cut down nets.
Down the nets.
All right, one second. Let me how many nets do we have? I think it was 3. Yeah, it was 3. Okay, I got them. I had to go into the garage.
These are pieces of history, Anfernee. Don't lose these. We got to put them in a safe or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lose them. I have them. It's just like I said, I don't talk about them all the time anymore. All right.
They'd be the first thing in my house. Maybe I'm a show off. I would be center. It would have a spotlight on it as soon as you walk in the house.
I probably should get them hung up. I had them hung up. I used to rent a house. Me and my wife used to rent a house in Springville. I had them on the wall, but we bought a house in Forestdale and just never got around to it. All right, so here we go. So 2018, we won the regular season championship. This is when I was in the boot against South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So got the net there.
Nice.
2018. So this was from Auburn Arena. This piece of net. And I got a little badge there. So this one says the big dance.
You might like this story. One of our student section people said the confetti started coming down a little early during that game. It was like an issue at court. Supposedly, Michael Floyd, our student section guy, said if it gets loud enough during a game, the rafters will shake and some of the confetti still falls sometimes.
That's fun. All right, so we got SC Tournament Championship. So this is the net from Tennessee. Nice. And I love this hat. Actually, I had 2 of these hats. I ended up giving one to my grandma. So, but only one of them had the net on it. So the net's again a little bit frayed. I don't know how that's happened. I need to wrap them up so they don't get too bad. And then we got the net from Kentucky going to the Final Four. Nice. The net from Kansas City. So I still got all my pieces of net on my hat.
Cool.
So
cool.
We got to make sure I don't lose these things.
Yes, please keep them safe.
So yeah, so all 3 pieces of net, piece of history.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know we'll have a lot of people who will love to just see that it's such a cool thing, and kind of like looking over your whole career. Obviously, it's fun. We were going to ask you about rings, so thank you for jumping ahead on that. So, if you just look back, you always struck me as a guy who wanted to like leave a legacy, right? Of the way you carried yourself, the way you played, investing in the program. I mean, is there a way to even verbalize what it means looking back to just see that you were such a key part of this buildup of now what this program is, and what obviously Bruce with his extension now, like we hope is going to be this 2-decade long run of being relevant in men's basketball? Like, is there a way to even express kind of just the intangible quality of what that means being a part of that?
Yeah, I would say, I was just blessed to be able to be in a position to contribute to a very successful team. A lot of it for me, I feel, was just, just sort of being in the right place at the right time, just being able to be a part of something so historic. I don't see myself as any sort of major factor. Just just doing my part, playing the best that I could physically, and just overall just doing what I could to help the team succeed. And overall, with every single person doing that, just doing the best that they could, we just were happen to be a successful team. And the teams that BP has, because he's getting so much more talent, he's continue to build on his coaching and his players that continue being more successful.
It seems like we've kind of gone through a lot of your career at Auburn, 4 years of playing for the team. You talked about when you got injured, you kind of started thinking about what you wanted to do beyond basketball. I feel like a lot of players don't have that moment to think that. I don't know if you had any eligibility left. It feels like it got cut short. And then, I don't know if you had any eligibility left after that. What was your thought process on like moving forward after that? Did you play any, anything outside of Auburn? Like, where'd you go after that, and where are you at now?
Personally, I had given it thought midway through my senior year. At that point, I had already graduated. I was working on my master's, and I had a career opportunity with Regions Bank as a portfolio manager. So I met a guy there. His name's Don Coyne. He's one of my best friends now. At that point, it was either between going into the workforce. I had already basically secured this position, or taking the plunge into a world of basketball that already wasn't my favorite thing to do at the moment, because it was very painful for me to continue playing. So I knew
Was that
after,
physical pain or mental pain? Like you mentioned, one other time that when you were jumping, it hurt. Did you deal with having a nagging injury the rest of your career?
No, so not to get on my soapbox here. So what happened was that when I came back from injury, I was compensating by not jumping off my left foot, by using my right leg isolated, basically solely for all my jumping. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening is that I developed just a case of tendonitis in my right knee, which caused me to to have to use my left leg more. So over time, I was starting to use my left foot more, even though it wasn't fully healed 100%, because my right knee was turning so bad. And then when I couldn't do that, I had to use my my right knee. So it was basically like a roller coaster of just going back and forth and hurting a lot. And but it will be better when we had bye weeks or weeks off. But the season, there's so many games in the season that you got to practice for them, you got to play them, and then you get one day off. So it's kind of like there's not a lot of room for recovery in that situation. So after 2 seasons of that, just 2 seasons of just basically just pain, just kind of like I was a little bit done with it, and I just wanted to move forward. Looking back now, when I just play at a rec center now, I don't feel the pain, because I obviously I don't have tendonitis anymore. So I was like, maybe I should have done this more, because I can still dunk and do windmills and have fun. But you tend to forget the pain after a while and just start to remember the good parts about playing.
It's got to be a weird feeling. I've always wondered this. You're so good. You went to the Final Four. You're on this team that's like 100,000 people watching, or whatever the state. I'm sure it's more like 70,000 people watching or whatever, to watch you play basketball. And then if you don't make it to that next NBA level, or willing to play in Turkey, kind of like McCormick is doing right now, like that's just like, you can't just be like, I just want to play like a little bit. Now you go to the rec league to play with a bunch of guys that probably never got close to where you were. So there's this huge drop off. You kind of wish there was like an in between, right?
I mean, there is in between. I think there's a lot of overseas guys, especially in Birmingham, that that play. I play with the UAB guys a little bit, and just kind of just playing. So I think there's a good bit of in between. I'd say if you just go to a random rec league, you probably be over especially overmatched a little bit. One of my things that I don't like to do when I'm playing, and just not trying to boast, but I don't like to play to the point where people are not having fun playing with me. Because unless they make me mad or something, unless they start talking trash, and I don't care. But I want people, like, if they're playing with me, I want I just want them to have fun. If they want to throw me a lob, they can, but I'm not just gonna go out there and just go score a point just because I can, because I'm 6'7" and I can do that. I'm just gonna go out there and just have fun playing. So that's one thing I try to focus on now when I'm playing with people.
Do you keep up with a lot of the guys that are overseas and stuff? I personally tried to DM Javon McCoy a bunch of times trying to get his jersey. I want that Turkey jersey he wears. I don't know if you keep up with these guys or not.
I mean, a lot of the times I don't really, I can't really keep up with them, even though I probably could more, but just, our lives are going in different directions, and, just my life is a little bit, I watch basketball now, but I'm not as involved in being a basketball player. So I just think the trajectory of our lives are a little bit different, and, there's just not much that we can relate to now than when we were on the same team.
Well, Jackson, if you have any kind of closing, I was just going to ask, how family's good, wife, kids good, and then number two, if you want to plug any of your videos, any of your financial stuff, I want to give you a chance to do that. We have quite a few people who listen, and I'm sure would love to check you out.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to go, it's just my name, but okay. I don't recommend it. I just, it's neither here nor there. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I do a lot of things in my life just because I just have fun doing it. Yeah, but yeah, I post videos on YouTube, and I got a good bit of subscribers.
You got a whole studio. You got to tell us some stuff about it. We're gonna put on there, like, check out your videos and stuff. We're both in finance. I'm very interested what you're up to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You don't have to post this part. Well, I guess you can. This podcast. But,
we're all very interested, Anfernee. You're being too humble.
I'm not promoting it, but yeah. So after I left Auburn, one of the first things I did, as soon as I stopped playing, was I started making finance videos because I couldn't do that when I was on scholarship, and that was just something I just got interested in just probably my junior year. So I started out making videos, and I don't know, I just been making them ever since then. I just make videos about how to build wealth, how to get your credit score higher, and all this stuff. And I've been posting on YouTube. So as of right now, I got, let's see, 33,000 subscribers over the last 2 years, and I just kind of post them. I do 3 videos a week, and it's just,
that's awesome.
It's nothing fancy. I just kind of just sit here talking like all right. So I'm not promoting. Just if you want to cut this part out, do it. But
no, we're loving it.
So I got a Yeti microphone I use to record here, and I got a camera. I was going to use this for the podcast today, but I decided it'll be a little overkill. And then I got another camera for a different angle here. And then back here is where my goal setting. See, I'm in my basement. You can see my utility thing right there. So that's my vision board with all my goals, my planning with all my ideas, and I don't know, just kind of just what I do. So I think it's important to have hobbies that you enjoy doing. No matter if they make a ton of money or not. Just like I enjoy doing it because I'm passionate about it, and that's just something I've done for about 2 years now.
Oh, that's great. It's a very productive hobby.
Oh yeah, I mean, it keeps me busy, keeps me motivated and everything.
Well, my last 2 quick ones, real quick. We've asked this of all the guests on here. The 2 related basketball ones is, first of all, what is a bigger moment to you? What is the coolest moment in the game you think is the biggest momentum grabber? A Cambridge dunk, an alley-oop, or a Wendell logo 3?
I would have to go with the logo 3. I have a lot of respect for alley-oops, obviously, but it's something about that's reminiscent of Jared Harper when Wendell pulls up from the logo.
And then the other one is heat check timeouts. I'm a big proponent of heat check timeouts, but Bruce does not like to call heat check timeouts. Did he ever call them when you were there? What are your thoughts on heat check timeouts?
He wouldn't call a heat check timeout. I remember one game specifically. We were playing against Kentucky. It might have been my sophomore year, but we were playing for 8 minutes straight, or the first 7 minutes game. And as I said, I'm typically 2 minutes in, get me out of the game, or I'm done. And it was 7 minutes straight, and I was exhausted. I was begging him to call a timeout, but he waited till Coach Cal called the timeout. And at that point, I was exhausted. So he may be different. I don't really know how he coaches now, but I wouldn't expect him to call a heat check timeout.
He really doesn't like to. He likes to let the guys, work through it, and I love his rationale. He did say in an interview once, if I call timeout, if I'm on the road, they're just going to get crazy because they made me call timeout. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Matt, you have anything else for him?
Oh man, I'm good. Anfernee, we really appreciate it. This has been so fun for us. And I know, some of the folks who listen to us who we're not that informed will love hearing your experiences, your opinions. So thanks for sharing the time with us.
Check out his videos.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that.
Check them out, people. Check them out. We're all going to be watching them later tonight.
I mean, all right, don't do that. But there's a reason why I've never posted it on Instagram or anything like that. I've never. That's because I don't know. But yeah, don't. No. But there's a basketball Anfernee, and then there's this Anfernee. So it was always fun to bring out my hats and stuff. But
yeah, man. Awesome. We appreciate it, man. Where you go, as always.